Power can shape empires or unravel minds. Throughout history, the line between absolute authority and absolute madness has been razor-thin, and for some kings and queens, that line was crossed. They believed they were made of glass. They dressed corpses as guests. They heard voices no one else could hear and followed them into darkness. These were not eccentric rulers. These were sovereigns consumed by delusion, paranoia, and madness so deep it shook entire empires to their foundations. This is 10 in 10, and these are 10 monarchs that went mad. Our journey begins with King George III of England, celebrated for his piety and devotion to duty. Yet beneath the veneer of stability, a storm was brewing within the king's mind. George III's reign was punctuated by episodes of profound mental derangement, characterized by paranoia, delusions, and erratic behavior. These episodes left the royal court in disarray and the nation in a state of uncertainty. The cause of George III's illness remains debated among historians and medical experts. Some attribute it to porphyria, a rare genetic disorder, while others point to the immense stress he endured during his reign, particularly the strain of the American Revolution. George III's tragic story serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of leadership and the fragility of the human mind, even amidst the trappings of power. We turn now to the Roman Empire and the reign of Emperor Caligula, synonymous with tyranny, cruelty, and unbridled excess. Caligula's reign, though brief, left an indelible mark on the Roman psyche, a chilling testament to the destructive potential of unchecked power. Ascending to the throne amidst great popularity, Caligula's early reign offered promise. However, this period of optimism proved short-lived, as the young emperor's behavior grew increasingly erratic and disturbing. Ancient historians recount tales of Caligula's extravagant spending, alleged sexual deviancy and cruelty, even appointing his favorite horse, Incitatus, as a senator. Caligula's reign serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us that power without the constraints of morality and reason can corrupt even the most promising individuals. Our journey takes us to 14th century France and the reign of Charles VI, a king whose bouts of insanity had profound consequences for a nation embroiled in the 100 Years' War. Charles VI's reign began with promise. However, the pressures of leadership, coupled with personal tragedies, took a devastating toll on his mental state. In 1392, Charles experienced his first documented episode of madness. What followed was decades of terror, confusion, and madness. He attacked his own knights in the forest, convinced they were plotting against him. He screamed at shadows, and worse, he believed he was made of glass. To prevent shattering, Charles refused to be touched. He sat motionless for hours, wearing reinforced clothing, terrified that a single stumble would cause his body to break into pieces. France was left in chaos. Power slipped into the hands of scheming nobles, and while war raged outside, the king slipped deeper into a world only he could see. We journey now to the Iberian Peninsula and the reign of Queen Maria I of Portugal. Queen Maria I ruled with stability until tragedy struck. The deaths of her husband, her eldest son, and her confessor sent her into a downward spiral. Her grief became unbearable, and her mind began to break. She was tormented by religious visions and plagued by guilt. She wept endlessly. She screamed during Mass. Her screams were said to echo through the palace at night, earning her a chilling nickname, Maria the Mad. By 1792, Maria was declared unfit to rule. Her son, João, took power as Prince Regent, while his mother lived out the rest of her days in isolation, trapped in a world only she could see. He was called the fairy tale king, a dreamer, an artist, a monarch obsessed with beauty, solitude, and fantasy. But behind the elegance and architectural wonder was a king slowly retreating from reality. Ludwig II of Bavaria withdrew from court life, refusing to govern. He wandered alone at night, spoke to imaginary people, and filled his world with operas, swans, and make-believe kingdoms. He spent fortunes on fantastical castles, including the now famous Neuschwanstein, inspired by myth and Wagnerian opera. All while Bavaria's economy suffered in silence. Declared insane by his own government, without a medical examination, Ludwig was deposed in 1886. Just days later, he was found dead in a shallow lake, alongside the very doctor who had diagnosed him. To this day, his death remains a mystery. Was it suicide, a tragic accident, or something darker? He ruled an empire forged in war, diplomacy, and divine ambition. But in the final years of his reign, Emperor Justin II would become known not for conquest, but for collapse. Early in his reign, Justin sought to restore the glory of the Byzantine Empire. But as war with Persia dragged on and internal tensions grew, something inside the emperor began to unravel. He began to suffer terrifying fits of rage and despair. He would scream uncontrollably, bite attendants, and lash out at anyone who approached him. In one of his more tragic delusions, Justin believed he was being constantly followed by ghosts and phantoms. To calm him, his courtiers played soothing music as he was wheeled through the palace in a special throne designed for the mentally unwell. Unable to rule, he eventually passed power to his general Tiberius, while he remained locked in the palace, a prisoner of his own mind. He was intelligent, ambitious, and ruthlessly paranoid. King Eric XIV of Sweden began his reign with vision, but it would end in blood and madness. Haunted by fear of betrayal, Eric became obsessed with conspiracies. He believed everyone, nobles, diplomats, even his own half-brothers, was plotting against him. He spoke in riddles. He ordered bizarre punishments. He was often seen weeping or laughing to himself in the halls of his palace. Eventually, his erratic behavior forced the court to act. Eric was deposed, imprisoned, and after years of isolation, he died mysteriously, rumored to have been poisoned on the orders of his own brother. We journey now to 18th century Denmark and the reign of King Christian VII, a monarch whose mental illness cast a long shadow over the Danish court. He was crowned king at just 17 years old, but long before the crown touched his head, his mind was already unraveling. He was plagued by hallucinations, wild mood swings, uncontrollable behavior, and once claimed his own hands were possessed. Unable to rule effectively, power quickly slipped from Christian's grasp. At one point, his physician, Johan Struensee, essentially ruled Denmark in his name. Christian VII lived for decades after losing all real power. A forgotten king trapped in a silent war with his own mind. He ruled the Holy Roman Empire, but his heart belonged to a world of shadows, secrets, and forbidden knowledge. Emperor Rudolf II was a patron of science, art, and the occult. He filled his court with magicians, astrologers, alchemists, and madmen. Obsessed with immortality and mystical truths, Rudolf withdrew from politics entirely. He trusted no one, he rarely bathed, he hoarded animals and relics. Some said he spoke to spirits, others claimed he believed demons were stalking his soul. As his mind deteriorated, the empire slipped into chaos. War brewed, factions fought for influence, but Rudolf remained locked in his chambers, searching for secrets no human was meant to know. In the end, his own brother deposed him. Rudolf died surrounded not by nobles or allies, but by symbols, strange machines, and silence. He was a visionary, a reformer, and a tyrant. Crowned Russia's first Tsar, Ivan IV would go down in history not as a builder of nations, but as a man consumed by his own darkness. Ivan's early reign was filled with promise. He modernized the state, expanded the empire, but beneath the surface was a mind unraveling. Haunted by childhood trauma, terrified of betrayal, Ivan grew increasingly unstable. He trusted no one. His paranoia became obsession. His anger became policy. He unleashed the oprichnina, a reign of terror. Thousands were executed, nobles impaled, entire cities reduced to ash. Fear became law, and mercy disappeared. But his greatest act of madness came not in war, but within the walls of his own palace. In a violent outburst, Ivan struck and killed his own son, his only true heir, the one person he may have loved, destroyed by his own hand. From that day forward, Ivan was no longer a ruler. He was a ghost, a madman trapped in a crumbling empire of his own making. They wore crowns of gold, but carried the weight of madness beneath them. Some ruled through fear. Others fell into silence. All were swallowed by the shadows in their own minds. History remembers their power, but it also remembers their unraveling. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the descent into darkness, subscribe and tell us what twisted tale we should uncover next.